going to discuss now what different states do for their primaries in terms of whether they're closed or open. A few states actually have open primaries. I don't actually have the full list, but and most states have closed, and then there are some other kind of primaries that take place in other states like Alaska and Louisiana, which are really just kind of ridiculous. But open primaries, when you register to vote, you don't have to make a party affiliation. So when the primaries come around, you can vote in the Republicans or the Democrat Party. The only thing is that if there's a primary runoff, you have to stick with whichever party you initially voted with. The closed primaries is what everybody knows, is that when you register to a party, and when the primaries come, you vote in that party's primary. The biggest complaints or arguments against an open primary is that there could be crossover voting, which is when someone affiliated with one party votes in the primary of another party. So for example, if a Republican knows a district typically elects Democratic nominees, then the Republican voters may attempt to swing the Democratic Party toward a more conservative nominee. The other argument that gets made is party crashing, which is when partisans strategically voting for weaker candidates in another party's primary in the hopes that the opposition party will nominate a candidate easier to defeat in the general election. So it would be like me voting in the Republican primary for, let's say, Donald Trump, and I know that maybe Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton is going to win. So then when it comes down to...
No, you know Bernie Sanders is going to win, but we'll keep
you
going.
just have to say Hillary Clinton because she's the front runner.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's not a fact.
It's,
She is losing
she's a
in
good
Iowa.
politician. Regardless of anything you want to say about that woman, she's a good
Oh, I'm not
She's a
saying
good
that. I'm not
politician.
saying that. But I'm saying she is not the front runner anymore. She is not. It has been proven. But we're off point.
Focus.
We're off point. But that would be like me doing that and knowing that when it came down to it, it would be Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, and I know they would mop the floor with him because he has no points that he usually makes in debates. The problem with closed primaries is that it forces people to stick with a party. And so people who are independent then have to choose, either I vote independent or I switch my party and go to Democrat or Republican. And that's the biggest problem with that, is because you can't change unless it's during a time where nothing's really going on, or if you're at the polls.
You're re-registering to vote.
Yeah, exactly. There are also semi-closed primaries where unaffiliated voters may choose which party primary to vote in, but voters registered to a party may only vote in that party's primary. So it's kind of a mixture of the two for
So
sure.
are you registered when you sign up for it, like you elect one, or is it I used to be in the closed primary position when I signed up, I gave my party, now I'm going for the semi-closed, and now I still have to be because of where how I registered the last time I signed up to vote? Is that what it's saying?
This
For
makes no
semi-closed?
change.
The semi-closed.
For semi-closed, it's going to be where if you're unaffiliated, if you don't have a party, when you can vote in whichever party's primary.
Okay.
But when you're a Democrat, you have to vote in that Democratic primary.
Do you
If you're
sign
Republican.
up as a Democrat?
Yes,
Or?
you have to register.
So why
as
doesn't everyone just sign up as independent?
People feel strongly about whatever views whichever party presents to them.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
Doesn't make sense when you want to look at all candidates, but
the fact that we have to register to vote to a party
yeah.
is the whole other thing, because if you're a Democrat, you may feel strongly about what one Republican is saying. If you're a Republican, you may feel more strongly about what a Democrat has to say, but you're
You've
stuck
got
with one
regular
party.
Democrats.
Exactly.
You've got, Clinton Republicans. So sometimes you go back and forth depending on the party. Well, really depending on the candidate more than the party.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And the two states, for the most part, Louisiana and Alaska, I'm not sure what Louisiana does. It was very convoluted when I was reading it. But Alaska is the only state to still do a blanket primary. And I'm not really sure. We're not going to go into all the different things that they do.
Well, Brandon, we're going to let you take away with this one. What were you thinking?
Well, here in Kentucky, we have a closed primary, and it's just the primary. So when you register, I'm a Democrat. I can only vote in the Democratic primary. I can't vote in the Republican. If I register as an independent, primary don't mean jack diddly to me unless an independent's running, because I can't vote. But it seems to me that the worries about having an open primary are probably overinflated, but legitimate concerns, if that makes any sense. You know, it's a possibility, but I don't think it's ever been proven to happen, or it's such a minute portion of it doesn't actually affect it. But now when, you know, the general comes around, I can vote, you know, for Trump. I can vote for Hillary, whoever, it doesn't matter, you know, on the general election. But in the primary and getting the people's voice on who they want to lead their party, I actually do kind of prefer the closed primary. I actually do kind of prefer Kentucky's way of doing it.
I would. The only reason why I would say I would disagree with that is because I think in a democracy we've become way too comfortable in this country not researching people, just being like, oh, I either recognize their name or they're just in my party and I don't like the other party, so I would never vote for them anyways. And it takes away from a democracy. A democracy has to have active people in the political process. That's its whole basis, its whole premise is being all-inclusive and making sure everyone has an equal vote and equal say. But if people are disenfranchising themselves by not learning about the particular topics, not learning about the particular candidates, then they're just like, I don't really care. And it hurts the democratic process because we need people who are informed. So when you have an open primary, it allows you to be like, well, now I gotta find out who's running because, you know, I'm not just gonna vote Democrat, I'm not just gonna vote Republican. It just kind of, I feel like it opens up your mind a little bit. Because if you know you're already locked in Democrat, what's the point of looking at a Republican? The only thing I can vote is Democrat. So you don't look at the Republican candidate till it's too late and you pretty much already made up your mind on a Democrat. Or vice versa. I'm Republican, why would I look at a Democrat if I can only vote Republican? And when it's open, I agree with you. It does worry me a little bit that people can, you know, maybe sway the vote or vote for someone who's so weak they know someone else can beat them. But I think that's kind of one of those red herrings, like saying like, oh, we need voter IDs because you can change, you know, multiple people can vote and have some dead person's name. Stats have shown that that does not happen. And it happens in such a minute amount, it does not sway the vote whatsoever. So making those kind of laws does nothing but, like I stated earlier, disenfranchise voters. And any attempt to disenfranchise a voter, in my opinion, is a crime. And it not only insults the American people, but insults the democratic process that we love so much. And we need more parties in general. That was my second point. I think the fact that you have to pick a particular party makes no sense. We need 4 to 5 to 6 parties. And that may seem like a shocker to me, but again, the only reason I say that is because when you have that many parties, you have to look at the various candidates. And when you have to look at the candidates, you will be shocked by who you actually might align with and what ideas you actually might agree with. And you could be like, I hate the whole Democratic Party, but that one Bernie Sanders guy actually said some pretty intelligent stuff. I might want to look into him. So it's just about making people look around.
But a counter argument to your point is this. There are dozens of political parties, but only 3 of them actually get any real airtime: Democrat, Republican, Independent. And you still have Socialist, Green, Jesus Christ, Libertarian. I mean, there's so many that are actually out there, but they are fringe collectives. They are, you know, yes, they're probably more right-wing or more left-wing, but it's an offshoot.
And I'm not saying those parties aren't out there. I'm saying, like you stated, the media doesn't even give them a chance. Like, literally, these parties are excluded from debates just because they don't have a Democratic or Republican. Like, that's what makes Bernie Sanders so unique. He's been a known libertarian. He stated that. Like, that's...
Socialist.
He runs on socialist ideals, but he defined himself as a libertarian and still made it into, politics, and has been very, very successful. He's one of the only libertarians to be successful and still say he's a libertarian and not claim he's Democrat or claim Republican. Like, now he has to fall on party lines again, which he shouldn't have to. He should have his own column as libertarian, but now he has to fall underneath Democratic because those are the only two type of primaries we have, which again shows the system needs to be more inclusive when it comes to other parties.
I bet you Hillary would have loved if he had run.
I know, right? She would have sold up that Democratic vote real quick.
Chris, what are you thinking?
I mean, I get the points. I do. I understand the multiple views on have multiple parties and it's a nice idea. The thing is, a big part of the way I view issues and things in the world today is just because of how people tend to be. It used to be, way back in the day, where everyone was educated, they knew what the hell they were voting for, they knew why they were voting for it, they had insight to all the different things that was going on. We're in an age now where my country sucks, and I want you to fix it. So I'll vote for you, and you will take care of it for me. The reason that people vote hardcore one way or the other is because they have one thing they care about.
Yeah.
And if that political party aligns with that, or has that one thing, and I mean, that's the thing, is it's amazing how little it takes for you to give your vote to someone. And the reason those smaller parties don't get any view from the media is because they're going to focus on the people who have an actual chance at the presidency, because these other groups are very small and very there's not much support to those groups because they're great ideas, but the thing is, you've got in the stages of your life, you start off as a kid, you're growing up and you don't care about anything, and then you get to school and you're going through college and you're like, man, I would like some help because I don't want to be burdened by everything. Usually you are a Democrat when you are younger. Not everyone, I get that's not how it is, people are raised, but usually the mindset is you want help. You want things to be easier on you. But then as soon as you start getting into your late 30s, early 40s going on, you've established something, and now you don't want people to be ripping it away from you. So, fuck the Democrats, and they're ready to just crush everything, you're homeless, whatever, I had to work for what I have, and so people are really aggressive. So the Republican Party is the older party that is out of touch with the youth, but the youth doesn't really know the wisdom of the older party, so they clash, and that's why you have it down the middle. You've got one focusing on the youth and one focusing on the elderly, and that's why they have all the support in those two parties. So you can have a libertarian come in, but he has no real support because he stands on a foreign platform, and that's not where the country divides itself. You're either struggling or you're not. And if you're struggling, you want to help people, and if you're not struggling, it's because you had to work and you're independent, and so you want to crush all those who aren't. I'm not saying that.
Or you've been given everything. Just saying, just because you ain't struggling, don't mean you worked for it. A lot of people who aren't struggling.
That doesn't mean you're given everything though either. We don't listen to. All I'm saying, I'm not. I'm saying that's the mentality.
Yeah,
that's what people are in those. So, I think it's a joke that you have an open, a closed, a semi-closed, a quarter moon. If you have the ability to vote, you should be able to vote for whoever the hell you want to vote for.
Exactly.
Period. You have the right. Why are you being enslaved to a party? Now, I don't think that it really makes a difference in this day and age. That's the pessimist in me, because pretty much everybody who signs up for a party knows they're going to be voting for that party, because ultimately, if you are for abortion, then you're going to be voting Democrat, and that's the one thing you care about more than anything. And they're like, well, yeah, I obviously don't want us to go to nuclear war, so hopefully the president's going to do his job. But this one thing is what I care about. I'm super Christian. I think that we should be anti-abortion, so I'm voting Republican, and that's it. That's all it takes. So, the idea that you're restricted, I think, is stupid. You should be able to have no restrictions, but people don't really look at one person and say, oh, I really like him. Man, Herman Cain's really kind of messing up. But I actually kind of like what Obama was saying. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. You made your decision way in advance. I like this guy. Unless you're making this decision before the candidate has been chosen, and then you have to sit and watch them filter out until you're stuck with one. And then, like we're saying, well, now, like, well, I don't like him, but I refuse to vote for the other party, so I'm voting for him, even that, like, it's the lesser of two evils, mindset. The whole system is broken. I agree, but it's also starts with the people who are voting in that system.
Mm-hmm.
The system is broken because the people are broken.
Mm-hmm.
People don't care anymore, and they need to care more and be
That
more
is true.
educated.
That is true.
But-
People care more about they care more about keeping up with the Kardashians than keeping up with the political process.
I've never seen so many Real Housewives shows in my fucking
Right.
life. It's unreal.
I did want to say just really quickly, I can't blame it all on the people because I've seen it myself. Politicians are making their money by disgusting people in the political process. They are disenfranchising people on purpose because, like you said, everything's already polarized. The more polarized I can make it, I can guarantee my base. There's this median voter theory, 33% of the base, and then you're working towards the middle to get everyone else to be on your side. If you can expand that base number, that's less people that you have to get from the middle to buy into your idea. So by making the process so annoying, so tedious, and saying such ridiculous things that it just disgusts people, that's why there's so many attack ads nowadays. Those should be banned, by the way.
Yes.
But that's why there are so many attack ads, is because they want people to be disgusted. It's a statistical fact that has been proven that doesn't make you vote for anyone else more or other. All it does is upset you about the whole political process. So
I can't agree with you on attack ads not like banning them. I can't agree with you because, and here's my reason for it. The thing with attack ads is that yes, it very much does appeal to the worst part of us, but sometimes if there are actual facts in these attack ads,
that's the point.
you do need to know these things
I
about
agree.
the politicians. Hey, he did support this. Hey, he didn't support that. I can understand those. Now, going after somebody because his hair's freaky, and his hair is really freaky, but, no.
Dude,
going after
Sanders has to go with
somebody's
straight
face,
hair.
going after somebody's
Really
face, there's just not, we don't have enough time in our
Trump
political
misunderstands
process to deal with somebody's appearance.
No, and I agree with you. And I don't consider facts attack ads. It's a fact. A fact is a fact. Whether it's a pretty fact or it's an ugly fact, it's a fact. And you've got to be able to accept those facts. And you should tell those. But just saying stuff that's proven, things that they voted on before, things that are known, things that they actually have said themselves, and it's not taken completely out of context, things that they've said 3 to 4 times, ideas that they stand by, those are proven.
Sure, but like in the world we live in today, dude, it takes very little for someone to believe something's a fact. Today only.
Look,
But that goes back to our topic talking about people aren't researching things for themselves.
Absolutely, but the idea of what a fact is, again, it someone tweeted, this is one of these bullshit things. Like a friend of mine commented on this. One of my black friends reposted this and he was pissed because it's got a picture of Donald Trump, says Donald J. Trump on Twitter. We need to deport all blacks back to Africa. Black people are lazy and filthy human beings. So, that's an attack ad. That is to enrage people, to piss them off, to not want to vote for Trump because he's clearly racist. There was no thought process into, man, why haven't I heard about his racism before? Since he's not known just now. I've known about Donald Trump for years he's a celebrity. I mean, he's got a freaking show. He's had affiliations with other well-known people who are rich and all this different stuff. Like beauty pageant things, like he's well known.
Well, the reason
you hear that, and then you
that he said
freak
something
out,
like that was because he has said it pretty much the same thing. Just take out blacks and put Hispanic.
Sure, and that's the thing is it's like sound bites, but it's just
I don't want to talk about Trump anymore.
Well, not only that, that's not what I was gonna say. I hate this because I have to be put in a position to kind of defend Trump because I was on Twitter last night and I realized that there was a fake Donald Trump Twitter where it's the same picture and everything and it's legit, it looks exactly like Trump's Twitter page and it just had some of the most ridiculous posts.
But people will see that and they'll go with it because it's Donald Trump, it's gotta be, there's no research, there's no understanding, it's just he fucking said it. He's got to be a racist. He really wants to report
he's done
all
things
black people out of
against
America
blacks in the past, and
there's
a story. I'll find out the story, and we will actually post this next week because I don't think a lot of people know about it. but some white lady back in the day was attacked or robbed or something of the such, and this group of black guys who was walking around in the same area got taken in and questioned.
It's like the New York Five.
New York Five or something like that. And these men were put in prison for years upon years, and Donald Trump actually put out a full-page article in the Times, like, demanding that they be arrested and sent to jail forever, and it's now been proven that they did nothing wrong, and that it was complete another lie.
And then he put out another one, basically saying, they did
it.
They need to stay in jail.
So I can never defend Donald Trump, because the reason people can put out those outlandish things and people will believe it is because he's said things so close to it that you can't say he wouldn't say that.
But let me bring this back, because
exactly.
there was something else, and I know we could rant about Trump all day, but there was something else in that the Alaska, again, being the only state to have a blanket primary, they actually had like a lawsuit or something, and Republicans were demanding that their party have a primary. So in Alaska, the Republican Party has a primary, but everybody else goes under the blanket primary, which just is a long list of people.
That's interesting.
They wanted to set themselves aside from the pack. I can't be mad at them for it. But again, it's just to polarize people, and that is a problem. I don't think people should be polarized in this nation. I'm not saying you shouldn't stick by your ideals and go for other people who have those ideals. I'm saying look at all your options, which I think is what, again, democracy is about. And it's a shame that we have so many parties and none of them are talked about whatsoever. And if we talked about them more, people would realize, because there's what is this? There's like very staunch conservative Democrats and very staunch conservative Republicans and liberal Republicans, and it's like there's already multiple parties inside of Blue Dog Democrat, stuff like that. There's multiple parties inside of the parties that people have attached themselves to because they do believe in Democrat because they have to pick that, but they don't believe in all the ideals. Where if you made another party, then it would pull away from that and just diffuse the power.
Right, but I don't think that there's anybody who fully agrees with everything on one party.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to have some kind of break there. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a Democrat, but I'm for the death penalty. My wife is a Republican and she's against it. And it's one of those things where you're never going to completely ever agree with the party on everything.
And that's why I think some parties are going to rise to the top.
As you're picking the lesser of two evils.
But I also think like if there are 15 parties to pick from, there are going to be 5 to 6 dominant parties. So to just say that, it's just going to confuse the field, that's not true. Because some parties are so ridiculous, no one's going to agree with them almost whatsoever. And there will be a very small sect of people that will, but there will be the people who rise to the top, and there will be the predominant parties. I just would like to get away from this very, I think, narrow-minded two-party system that we have.